Mizuto is a Sigma loser boy who just broke up with his girlfriend, but everything changes when he becomes his Alabama-loving stepsister who wants to clap her on the cheek. Mizuto and Yume are a couple who dated in junior high but broke up due to a misunderstanding. Then, they were reunited in a family and became step-siblings because their parents got married. Nowadays, Mizuto has a rough time with his stepsister. At dinner, his parents are happy that Mizuto and Yume get along, and they both smile to fool them. After dinner, Yume went to his room and asked Mizuto to stop calling her by last name because they now had the same last name. She told him to call her older sister from now on, but Mizuto refused. He felt that he, as a man, was more worthy of being called older brother. They started arguing about who was older, and since no one wanted to be the younger sibling, they decided to settle it through a game. They pretended to get along in front of their parents and hid the fact that they had once been dating. If either got caught, the loser would become the younger sibling. The game began, and Yume went straight to the hiding place he used for his secret activities. She reached for the drawer, but Mizuto turned things around with his charm, reminding Yume of their dating days. Mizuto scored when Yume looked at him like she wanted him. Mizuto asked for his reward. Yume playfully called him daddy. The next day, they found out they were in the same class, and their parents asked them to take a photo together. Everyone wanted to be friends with Yume after she gave a welcoming speech as the smartest student. Meanwhile, Mizuto was a lonely student who didn't have a single friend and didn't believe that a girl like her had better grades than him. The other students teased Mizuto, thinking he was a loser, and tried to get close to Yume. At home, Yume realized that the boys wanted to clap her on the cheek, and she also scolded Mizuto because he didn't say anything when the other students teased him, which worried her. But Mizuto didn't care. The next day, the boys tried to approach Mizuto, but Yume appeared to push her melon at Mizuto to assert her dominance and tell the boys that Mizuto was busy. Then, their parents told them they would be home late and leave the stepsister alone. Mizuto started cooking food, and Yume told him to forget about her pushing the melon at him. He told Yume he had forgotten, upsetting her because she thought her melon wasn't enough for him. So Yume planned to tease him, surprising him by coming out of the bathroom wearing only a towel. Yume began to tease him about having a desire for his stepsister's melon, and Yume began to enjoy destroying Mizuto's charming Sigma. But her towel began to fall, revealing her plot. Mizuto approached her, gently reprimanded her for trying to tease him, and put his jacket around her. When Yume wanted to go to her room, she slipped and put them in the perfect position to start making a baby. Mizuto remembered their past and intended to kiss her, but their parents arrived home, and Yume was forced by Mizuto to hide under the sofa.
おかえり、父さん、ユニさん。ユメさんなら先に寝たよ。
もしお母さんたちが帰ってこなかったら、ようやく楽になれたはずなのに。
The next day, a student named Kawanami asked Mizuto to spend time together, but Mizuto said he didn't need a friend who wanted to develop a plot with his sister. Kawanami told Mizuto that he really wanted to be his friend. Then, the students underwent a physical examination, and Minami was jealous of Yume's melon while she was flat. Then, they did a fitness test where Minami showed off her skills, which made Yume jealous. Yume was bad at sports but kept trying her best to get a good score. Mizuto, on the other hand, wasn't as enthusiastic and eventually gave up. Yume kept going, though, and finished another exercise with a smile. But in the end, she passed out. Mizuto caught her and helped her to the school infirmary. When they got there, Yume admitted that she wasn't the best at sports, and Minami was happy because it made her feel closer to Yume, who wasn't perfect. The next day, Yume missed school due to a fever, so Minami visited her at home. They went to Yume's room, where Yume started imagining what it would have been like to date Mizuto. She jokingly asked him to give her a big sausage while Minami watched. Minami didn't catch any of it. Then, Minami asked Mizuto to help her cook for Yume. While Yume is jealous of Minami playing mommy and daddy with Mizuto, he tells her to shut up and rest. Then Yume asks Mizuto to hold her hand to help her sleep, which reminds Mizuto of their dating days. They often spend time together. In the present, Yume treats Mizuto like a slave who asks for different things, but Mizuto realizes that Yume is a cheater and is actually healthy. Yume apologizes, and Mizuto teases her for needing his manly hands to sleep. Suddenly, Yume acts cute and asks Mizuto to never leave her again. When they were still dating, Yume was a simp who liked to keep Mizuto's belongings in a box and pray like she was obsessed. Back to the present, Yume, who had just finished showering, found Mizuto's underwear on the floor. She picked it up and intended to return it, but her mother suddenly appeared, so Yume was forced to hide it to avoid misunderstandings. Out of curiosity, Yume sniffs Mizuto's underwear and realizes how indecent she is, imagining herself being punished as a perverted sister for having sniffed her stepbrother's underwear. Yum can't let that happen and plans to return the underwear without being caught. Then she waited until bedtime and snuck into his room. Suddenly, Mizuto came out with Yum's bra in his hand, and they realized their situation. They played rock, paper, scissors, and Yum lost and had to explain herself first. Mizuto also explained that he had accidentally found the bra, and his father had suddenly come in, stopping Mizuto from returning it. Then they began to interrogate each other if they had done something naughty to each other's underwear, and both seemed guilty but denied all accusations, such as kissing or rubbing the underwear in their crotches. In the end, they agreed to make peace with each other. After school, Yum caught Mizuto on a date with a girl who looked like her old self. At home, Yum saw a girl's shoes and felt jealous. She took a picture of the shoes and immediately went to see Mizuto, demanding an explanation. But Mizuto told her to leave him alone because he was tired. Yum began to fantasize wildly about her stepbrothers plotting with the girl. Meanwhile, Mizuto gets dizzy because Minami is doing all this. Minami had previously asked Mizuto to date and marry her. Minami seemed obsessed with Yum. She was even willing to marry Mizuto so that Yum would become her sister-in-law. Of course, this confused Mizuto, and he tried to ignore her, but Minami kept bothering him until she stopped by his house. Mizuto called Kawanami for help. Kawanami explained that Minami was a ticking time bomb who would not stop getting what she wanted, and even her boyfriend in the past died after being drained every night by Minami. Kawanami advised Mizuto to ask Yum out on a date to make Minami stop obsessing over Yum by making her feel disgusted when she saw that Yum had a crush on Mizuto. As advised, Mizuto asked Yum out on a date as punishment for the underwear incident that shocked her. The next day, Mizuto appeared to be an old money daddy, and Yum blushed at his good looks. They went to the aquarium, and Yum always blushed whenever she saw Mizuto's charming appearance, and he held her hand, which made her even more riz. Meanwhile, Minami and Kawanami were watching their date. Mizuto used his awkward riz to compliment Yum's appearance and pull her closer, making her fall in love. Meanwhile, Mizuto thought his date was going badly because Yum kept giving him a look as if she owed him money. After that, Mizuto went to the toilet to ask Kawanami for advice, and Yum was left alone until she got lost and waited for Mizuto to pick her up. This incident reminded her of her first date with Mizuto. Due to the large number of people separating Yum from Mizuto, amid her despair, Mizuto suddenly appeared, buying her a drink and convincing her with his charm that he would never leave her, and the incident was repeated again in the present. After the date ended, Minami approached him and apologized to him. Minami admitted that she had sneaked into Mizuto's house without his knowledge, and Minami promised not to disturb their lives anymore. Mizuto returned home, and Yum asked him to be her little model as punishment for the underwear incident, and ended up with millions of photos.
捕まえた。
捕まっちゃった。
When they were still strangers, Mizuto and Nerd Yum enjoyed watching the moon. It was their first time meeting. In the present, Yum wants Mizuto to come with her to buy a gift for Mother's Day, but Mizuto refuses, like a lazy person, and Yum appears again to look cute, which makes Mizuto fascinated by her beauty. Then they bought a gift together and slipped on the train, pushing himself into Yum's body, but she told him to keep quiet so she could enjoy it more. After going around together looking for a gift, they finally gave her flowers, making her cry joyfully, and Mizuto looked desperate. Then Yum found Mizuto praying for his deceased mother. Yum sat next to him to support him because he never really knew his mother in his life. Mizuto had the idea of giving their parents a gift and suggested they stay at a friend's house so their parents would have time to have a baby. They stayed at Kawanami and Minami's house, who were neighbors. Then they went to their apartment, and Minami thanked Mizuto for lending her his stepsister so that Minami could hug Yum while she slept. Then Kawanami and Minami explained that they were childhood friends who were not close to each other. The boys started talking about Yum, and Kawanami asked if Mizuto had touched Yum's melon. Since Mizuto did not answer his question, Kawanami yelled that Mizuto loved Yum's big melon for himself, which made the next door neighbor feel embarrassed and started hitting the wall. Mizuto immediately retaliated by tying him up before reading his embarrassing diary about wanting to be Minami's baby daddy in the future, which made Minami feel ashamed and start hitting the wall. Kawanami and Minami fell asleep at night while Mizuto and Yum stayed up to look at the moon. Yum and Mizuto remember when they looked at the moon together. At that time, Yum already had feelings for him, and they realized that they would remain step-siblings forever, and they both thought it sucked. The next day, Yum studied more in the study room and had to defend her title as the smartest student in the school. Mizuto, on the other hand, just relaxed in the living room, spending his time reading comics even though he had an exam tomorrow. Yum underestimated Mizuto, calling him a loser. Yum was sure that Mizuto would fail the exam. Mizuto did not accept the disrespect and told her he would beat her. The next day, Mizuto declared war and told Yum to tighten her sweet cheeks as he was about to show her what an armor plot looked like. The exam went smoothly, and on the day the results arrived, Yum looked at the results and saw that she was in second place behind Mizuto. Mizuto started to speak rudely, calling Yum, who had tried hard but was still lost to a loser like him. Yum felt her reputation would be ruined and thought her friends would stay away from her because she was no longer at the top. Yum was wrong. Her friends showed up and supported her. Yum realized that being the smartest didn't define who she was because her friends still treated her the same. Then Yum stopped by the library and found Mizuto with a girl named Higashira, who liked the same books as him. Higashira told Mizuto she was her friend and asked her to put on her socks. Mizuto happily put socks on her soft feet. Yum went home and felt jealous seeing her step-sibling being close to another girl. The next day, Yum started to be extra nice to Mizuto, and he felt afraid of her. Mizuto told his friend Higashira about this, and she told Mizuto to stop being a loser and ask his sister directly. Then Mizuto met Yum in his handsome form and demanded that she explain what happened. Yum admitted that she was jealous of Higashira. Yum asked if it was okay for siblings to be jealous of their siblings, and Mizuto said it was creepy. Then Mizuto introduced Yum to Higashira so they could be friends. Yum tried to assert her dominance over Mizuto to Higashira. However, they were surprised that Higashira did not back down, making Yum look stupid. Higashira even said that she was not interested in Mizuto. Then they went home together. Minami and Yum were unconvinced that Higashira did not want an intense workout with Mizuto. Everything was normal, and Higashira wanted to see Mizuto's book collection in his room. Higashira started to flirt with him, but he threatened that they would stop being homies, and Higashira apologized by squeezing her melon in his arm. Mizuto saw her innocent charm and agreed for her to come to his house. A few days later, Higashira met Yum and Minami. They planned to transform Higashira from an ugly to a beautiful mermaid by giving her a total makeover. They tried on several clothes, making Higashira embarrassed to wear something that showed her stomach. They were surprised at the size of Higashira's melon and kept dressing her in different clothes, but the plot made all the costumes look like she worked in the Red District. Finally, they decided Higashira would imitate Yum's style and clothes because they suited her. Higashira asked Mizuto directly about his opinion, which gave her the confidence to come to his house and wear her new clothes. His parents couldn't believe their eyes when the lonely Mizuto suddenly brought a beautiful girl with a big plot into his room. Yum appeared to ensure her stepbrother wouldn't try to make a baby. Higashira started reading a book and reading it while lying in Mizuto's bed. Yum started to feel annoyed, but Mizuto and Higashira were okay with it because they were just friends. Then they spent time reading the book. After an hour, Higashira finished the book and asked Mizuto to massage her because her big boobs were hurting her shoulder. Mizuto started using his strong hands on her shoulders, and Higashira started making loud and happy noises that made Yum jealous, so she started scolding them. However, Higashira asked Mizuto to put on her socks for her, which annoyed Yum even more. Higashira was forced to ask for that because her big boobs made it difficult for her to bend over. Then, Yum asked Higashira if she liked Mizuto. Higashira admitted that she liked Mizuto, but she had no intention of expressing her feelings of love because being beside Mizuto as a friend was more than enough for her. Yum went to Mizuto's room and removed her socks before asking him to put them on her because she was jealous. Yum began to make happy noises as he got higher and higher on her thighs. When they were dating, Mizuto invited Yum to his house, and they were both nervous. Mizuto told her to sit down. Yum got even more nervous when Mizuto kept staring at her, and they gave each other signals to kiss. Yum closed her eyes, but the coward Mizuto backed out and offered to read a book instead. Then they read the book for hours, and Mizuto signaled to kiss again but cancelled it like a coward and offered to drive Yum home. They arrived at Yum's house, and after leaving, Mizuto cursed himself for being a coward who didn't have the guts to give her the pleasure she wanted. A year later, a misunderstanding occurred that ended their relationship. Yum finds Mizuto in the library, discussing a book with another girl. Yum felt hurt to see the girl sitting in her chair and hiding from them. After the girl left, Yum confronted Mizuto and accused him of cheating for letting another girl sit next to where they first met. Mizuto tells his future baby mama that she is delusional. Yum realizes that she is an idiot, but it hurts her to see Mizuto with another girl in their special place. After making up, there is still friction between them. Yum goes to the festival alone and delusively hopes that Mizuto will show up and find her like the year before. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and even when Christmas came, Yum spent her time alone, hoping that Mizuto would show up. Everything remained the same until graduation day, and they broke up coldly after spending months without contacting each other. Mizuto felt miserable during their period of no contact, and breaking up with Yum felt like freedom. However, not long after that, they met again and became siblings. Nowadays, they start teasing each other about being virgin losers for not doing anything when they were first together in Mizuto's room.
覚悟を決めてこの部屋に来たのに。
君めちゃくちゃ警戒してたからこっちは気が引けてきた。
このヘタレ。
The next day, their father told them about their trip to meet relatives and to bring swimsuits. Therefore, their mother told Yum to buy a swimsuit because Yum had grown up and her old swimsuit would no longer fit. Mizuto accompanied Yum shopping. Yum tried on a swimsuit and wanted to show it to Mizuto, who was delighted to see the combination of her boobs and glasses. He began to look at every curve and detail, which made his heart beat faster with every second. Yum asked Mizuto to compliment the swimsuit, but he went too far and complimented her boobs, which gave her goosebumps. On their way home, they passed by where their first kiss was held and started to feel nostalgic. The gods of love helped them get into a kissing position, but Mizuto refrained from kissing Yum. A few days later, Mizuto and Higashira were hanging out to watch Netflix and relax, but Yum was jealous of Higashira being able to rest her head on Mizuto's thigh. Higashira started unzipping her hoodie to show off her balloons and scratching. The movie ends, Mizuto yawns, and Higashira asks him to rest his head on her lap, but Yum stops them. Higashira makes Mizuto an offer he can't refuse as he looks at her big balloon from below but ends up sleeping on Yum's lap. Then they visited Mizuto's grandmother, and a girl named Madoka hugged Mizuto to start flirting with him. Her younger brother, Chikuma, was also there. After that, they had a barbecue with the family, and Chikuma kept stealing glances at Yum. Madoka told Yum that her family was worried that Mizuto might become depressed after his mother died but was now happy to see him turning into a Chad. Yum always looks at Mizuto, which makes Madoka suspect that Yum has feelings for Mizuto. The next day, Yum looked depressed, and Madoka asked her what was wrong. Yum explained that she was selfish towards Mizuto because she had placed too many expectations on him. Madoka asked her if Yum was in love with Mizuto, and she said she didn't know. Then Madoka took Mizuto and put him alone with Yum in a shared room. Yum began to question her feelings for him. She realized that she never wanted to break up in the first place because she regretted not even trying to fix their relationship. Yum started to cry, unable to control her feelings, and Mizuto asked her to turn back time, and they hugged like good Alabama. After that, Yum asks Mizuto about his first love, and Mizuto reveals that she was his first love, which makes Yum's face turn red. The next day, they went to the festival. They played a shooting game, and Madoka became a full Alabama, pushing her melon at Chikuma to help him fire his gun. While Mizuto became a complete John Wick, Yum destroyed his concentration by putting a melon on his back. After that, they met his parents and introduced Yum to his grandmother. Mizuto suddenly disappeared, and Madoka explained that he always did that before the fireworks started, so Yum had to look for him. Ultimately, she finds Mizuto in the temple, who is monologizing about becoming a Sigma. Mizuto still had feelings for Yum, and Mizuto remembered every detail of when they were still dating. Then, the fireworks began, and Mizuto was amazed by the beauty he saw, so he began to cry. Yum suddenly kissed him, not as a stepsister but as the only girl in his heart who loved him back.